Hello students, I Pushpinder Kaur welcome you in the next video lecture based on chapter Surface Chemistry. This is the last video of this chapter, and in this chapter we will discuss about the properties of the colloidal solution, and the most important part of the chapter is the emulsions. Firstly we will discuss the properties of the colloidal solution, and in this part we will discuss some physical properties, and after that we will discuss some chemical properties and the optical properties of the colloidal solutions. The first is the physical properties of the colloidal solutions are, the first is the heterogeneous in nature. As we know that the colloidal particles are heterogeneous in nature, and it is made up of the two phases, the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium. And the dispersed phase is act as a solute particles, and the dispersion medium are the solvent particles. We also know that the size of the colloidal particles are in between the size of the true particles and the suspension particles. Therefore, the colloidal particles are actually seen by the homogeneous in nature, but they are heterogeneous in nature. Hetero means a different, and the genus means a composition. It means the colloidal particles have the different composition throughout the solutions, and we cannot see the particles of the colloidal particles in the naked eye. We can see the colloidal particles under the only ultra microscope. The next one property is the filtrability. The colloidal particles do not pass through the ordinary filter paper because of the large pore size. However, they can be pass through the animal membrane, cellophane membrane, or the ultrafiltrate, where the pore sizes are fine and they do not allow the colloidal particles to pass through them. The next one is the stability. As we know that the colloidal particles are stable in nature. Take the example when you dissolve the mud or the sand particles in the water. After some time they start settle down at the bottom. Therefore, we can say the mud particles or the chalk particles are the unstable in nature, and they are making the suspension solution. But in case of the colloidal solution, the particles being are heterogeneous in nature, they are stable in nature. And the particles of the colloidal solutions are in the state of the motion and do not settle at the bottom of the container. Hence, we can say the colloidal solutions are the stable in nature. The next one is the color. The soles are colored, and particle is directly related to the size as well as the shape of the particles present in the sole. For example, the color of the colloidal sole of silver with the particle size 6.0 into 10⁻⁻⁵ millimeter is orange yellow, while that of the sole particle, that of the diameter 15 into 10⁻⁵ mm, it is a violet in color. Similarly, the color of the gold sole with the finest particle is red. As the particle size increases, the color changes to purple, blue, and then finally changes to the golden yellow. As we are wearing the gold jewelry, that the size of the gold soles are very large. That's why they are appears as to the golden yellow in color. Actually, the color of the colloidal solution depends upon the particle size. It is interesting to note that the color of the colloidal sole depend upon the manner in which the observer receives the light. For example, an aqueous solution of the milk appears blue in the reflected light and red in the transmitted light. The next one is a very important property of the colloidal solutions. These are the optical properties of the colloidal solution. Beam of the light is passed through the true solution. No scattering of the light is take places. When the same beam of the light is passed through the colloidal solution, the scattering of the light take places. The visibility of the dust particles in the semi-dark room when a beam of sunlight enters or when a beam of light is thrown on the projector are familiar examples of the scattering. This effect was observed by the Faraday and the later studied in the detail by the Tyndall, and effect is now commonly known as the Tyndall effect. Thus, when a strong conversion beam of the light is passed through a colloidal solution, the path of the ray is viewed at the right angle to the direction of the propagation of the light. A bright cone of the scattered light is observed. This cone of the bright light is known as the Tyndall effect. The Tyndall effect is noticed under some conditions. Firstly, the diameter of the particles of the dispersed phase should not be much smaller as comparison to the wavelength of the light, and the second one is the refractive index of the particles of the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium must be greatly in the magnitude. And the Tyndall effect is helpful in the confirmation of the heterogeneous nature of the colloidal solutions. The next is the mechanical properties of the colloidal solutions, in which we will discuss the Brownian movement of the colloidal particles. In 1828, at the English, Brown observed that pollen grains suspended in the water execute a continued zigzag motion. He named this phenomena as the Brownian movement. Later on, it was found that the particles of the surface of the all colloidal solution also execute a continuous zigzag motion, and the Brownian movement is shown by this figure. And in this figure we can see that the particles of the colloidal particles are in the continuous zigzag movement, and this movement is called as the Brownian movement. And this Brownian movement is due to the unequal bombardment of the moving molecules of the dispersed medium on the colloidal particles. The main reason for the Brownian movement is the dispersed phase particle of the colloidal solution are being constantly collided by the molecules of the dispersion medium. It was stated by that the impact of the dispersion medium particles on the particles of the dispersed phase are unequal or the unbalanced, and it causes the zigzag motion of the dispersed phase particles. However, if the size of the dispersed phase particle is increases, then the chances of the unequal bombardment is decreases. This can be confined by the fact that the suspensions do not show any such movement due to the larger molecular size. We can say that the Brownian movement decreases with the increase in the size of the colloidal particles, and we can say that the suspension particles are the unstable in nature. The significance of the Brownian movement is the Brownian movement opposes the force of gravity on the colloidal particles. As a result, these particles always remain in the state of the motion and do not settle. That's why due to the Brownian movement, the colloidal particles are stable in nature. The next one is the stability of the colloidal particles. The stability of the colloidal soul is because of the presence of the charge on the dispersed particle. In fact, all the dispersed phase particles in the particular colloidal soul carry the same charge, which may be either positive or the negative. The particles with the similar charge repel one another, and this is the reason as why they do not come close together and do not collapse to the form of the particles of the large size. Using water as a dispersed medium, some negatively and the positively charged souls are like in the positively charged souls we are taking the hydrated metallic oxides like the aluminium oxide, chromium oxide and the ferric hydroxide. The basic dyestuffs like the methylene blue is also example of the positively charged souls. Hemoglobin blood is also example of the positively charged soul, and the oxides like the tin oxide souls are the examples of the positively charged souls. In case of the negatively charged souls, we are taking the examples of the metal soul like the copper, the silver and the gold souls, metallic sulfides, the arsenic sulfide, bismuth sulfide and the cadmium sulfide souls, and the acidic dyestuffs like the Eosins and Congo red soul. And the souls of the starch, gum, gelatin, clay, charcoal, etc. are in the category of the negatively charged souls. And these positive and the negative charge of souls can be done with the fractional electrification due to the dissociation of the surface molecules and due to the selective adsorption of the ions on the surface of the colloidal solutions. The next part is how we will detect the given colloidal particles are the positively charged or the negatively charged. The first method is the electrophoresis, and we can say that the electrical properties of the colloidal solutions can be determined by the process of the electrophoresis. In the electrophoresis process, the movement of the colloidal particles towards a particular colloid under the influences of the electrical field. To determine the charge on the colloidal particles, let us take a U-shaped tube with the platinum electrode, both solute and the solvent making the sharp boundaries electrodes. When these platinum electrodes are connected with the terminals of the battery and the voltage of 50 to 200 voltage is applied, the colloidal particles start moving towards the oppositely charged electrode, as the charged ions are always attracting each other. The movement of the particles can be followed by the observing the position of the boundaries. For example, in case of the positively charged particles, such as the ferric hydroxide, when the electric current is passed, observe that the boundaries on the negative charge move up, while on the positively charged electrode, it starts moving down, and the vice versa. It means by observing the direction of the movement of the boundaries, the sign of the charge carried out by the colloidal particles can be determined. The small amount of the electrolyte is necessary for the stability of the colloidal source. The ions of the electrolytes are absorbed on the soil particles and impart them some charge, whether the positive charge or the negative charge. The charged colloidal particles repel one another and are prevention for the coming close to each other, and they are not forming a bigger particles. However, in the presence of the large excess of the electrolyte, the charge on the particles of the dispersed phase get neutralized, and as a result they come closer, grow in size and get coagulated to form the precipitation, and this causes the instability of the colloidal particles. And the phenomena of the precipitation of the colloidal solution by the addition of the excess of the electrolyte is called as the coagulation or the flocculation. And when we discuss the mechanism of the coagulation, what happens? The particles of the dispersed phase colloidal particles bear the particles of the dispersed phase of the colloidal bear some charge, and when an electrolyte is added to the soil, the colloidal particles taken up the charge carrying opposite charge from the electrolyte. As a result, the charge get neutralized, and this causes the uncharged particles to come close and get coagulation or the precipitated. For example, if we add the negatively charged particles to the positively charged particles, they both are attracting each other and both are get neutralized. After the getting neutralized, the uncharged particles come close to each other and converted into the bigger size particles. This causes the precipitation, and the formation of the precipitation due to the addition of the excess of the electrolyte is called as the coagulation process. And the coagulation of the process can be by the Hardy's rules, that states that greater the valency of the oppositely charged ion of the electrolyte being is added, faster is the coagulation. The principle of the electrostatic force of attraction is working here. Greater the valency of the fluctuating ions, greater will be the coagulation power. For example, if we want to coagulate the negative soul, as the charge on the positively charged electrolyte is increases, the coagulation power is also increases. For example, to coagulate the negatively charged soul of the arsenic, aluminium will coagulate it greater extent as comparison to the barium, and the sodium will coagulate this arsenic arsenic soul at the lesser extent due to the lesser valency. Similarly, in case of the coagulation of the positively sold, such as the iron hydroxide, the coagulation power is also decreases as the negative charge on the electrolyte is decreases. Like for example, the ferric cyanide having the greater tendency to coagulate the ferric hydroxide ions as comparison to the phosphate and as comparison to the sulfate, and the chlorine negative have the least capacity to coagulate the ferric hydroxide ions. Remember, the ions carrying the charge opposite to that of the Sol particles are effective in the causing of the coagulation of the Sol. These ions are called as the active ions. For example, in case of the coagulation of the negatively charged ions, aluminium, barium and the sodium are the active ions, and for the coagulation of the positive Sol, the iron, phosphate, sulfate and the chlorine are the active ions. The coagulation of the is directly proportional to the valency of the active ions. Greater the valency, greater will be the power of the coagulation. And the next is the fluctuating value, that is the minimum concentration of the electrolyte which is required to cause the coagulation or the fluctuation of the 1 liter of the colloidal solution is known as the fluctuating value. That fluctuating value or the coagulation power, both are the inversely related to each other. It means greater the charge on the electrolyte solution, greater will be the fluctuating value and lesser will be the coagulation power. The coagulation of the colloidal particles can be achieved by any of the following method: by the electrophoresis, by the mixing of the two oppositely charged, and or by the persistence dialysis method. The next is the protection of the colloidal solution. We know that the colloidal solutions such as the metals like gold, silver, copper, etc., which are the lyophobic in nature, are formed with very difficulty. They are also pretty unstable and can be readily coagulated by the addition of the small amount of the electrolyte. To convert into the stable electrolyte, we have to protect them, and that process to protecting of the lyophobic colloids from the precipitation or the coagulation by the addition of the some other kind of the electrolyte, that process is called as a protection. Can be prevented by the addition of the more stable lyophilic colloids. Like the coagulation of these colloidal solution can be prevented by the addition of more stable lyophobic colloids like the gelatin, albumin, etc. For example, a small amount of the gelatin is added to the gold salt. It is not readily precipitated by the addition of the sodium chloride. The process of the protecting in the lyophobic colloid solution from the precipitation by the addition of the electrolyte due to the previous addition of the some lyophilic colloid is called as a protecting. And to protect the gold salt, we are adding the some gelatins, that is known as the gold number. Protecting the lyophobic salts, the one term that is defined as the gold number can be introduced. According to the gold number, the number of the milligram of the protective colloid required to just prevent the coagulation of the 10 ml of the given gold salt when 1 ml of the 10% solution of the sodium chloride is added to it. Remember, smaller the gold number, higher will be the protecting power. The next is the advantages of the colloidal solution. The colloidal solutions allow the dispersion of the normally insoluble materials such as the metallic golds or the fats. This can be used in the more easily or the absorbed more easily. The colloidal of the gold can be used in the medicines or to carrying the drugs or the antibiotics because of the highly non-reactive and the non-toxic in nature. These are the colloidal solutions are used in the many medicines. For example, the cod liver oil is used in many medicines. The paint industry is also used colloidal in the preparation of the paints. The milk in the colloidal suspension of the fats prevent the milk from being thick and allow to easy absorption of the nutrients. The sewage water contain particles of the dirt, mud, etc., which are the colloidal in nature and carry some electrical charge. And these particles may be removed by using the phenomena of the electrophoresis. Present in the milk produces the lactic acid on the fermentation, and this can destroy the charge on the colloidal particles present in the milk, and we can separate as a curd The soap solutions are also colloidal in nature, and they are used to remove the dust particles by the adsorption. And the next one is a large number of the food particles which we are using in the daily life are the colloidal in nature, like the milk, butter and the ice cream. The next is the colloidal around us. The first colloidal around us is the blue color of the sky. Why the color of the sky is blue? The atmosphere around us is called as the sky, has the dust particles and the water drops suspended in the air. The colloidal size, and when light fall on them, they scatter the blue light which reaches our eyes. Therefore, the sky appears to blue for us. The next one is the fog, mist and the rain. The extremely cold weather, the temperature is very low. The water droplets present in the air condense on the surface of the dust particles that are suspended. Since these are the colloidal in nature, they float in the air in the form of the mist or the fog or the cloud, also called as the aerosol. When the temperature of the upper atmosphere become extremely low, these colloidal particles droplets grow in size and they become bigger and bigger size, and when the atmosphere is not in the position to hold them, they come into the form of the rain. The next one is the food particles like the milk, butter, halwa, ice cream, fruit, juice, etc. are all of the colloidal particles. The next one is the blood. During the fresh cut, the RBC comes out from the blood vessels, and these negatively charged colloid particles can be neutralized by the chloride or the potash alum is applied, which are the positively charged ions, and these neutralize the negatively charged RBC on the colloidal particles. In the absence of the charge, they get coagulated and the bleeding immediately stops. And the next one is the formation of the delta. As we know that the river water contain the charged colloidal particles of the sand, clay, etc. As soon as the river water comes in the contact with the saline sea water, the electrolyte present in the sea water coagulate the suspended colloidal particles. These coagulate particles settle down at the point of the contact, resulting in the rise of the river bed. As a result, water adopts a different courses, and a delta is formed is due to the course of the time. The next one is the emulsions. The emulsions are very important topic from this chapter. The emulsions are the special kind of the colloidal solutions in which both dispersed phase and the dispersion mediums are in the liquid state. For example, the milk is an example in which the both dispersed phase and the dispersion medium are in the liquid state. There are the two types of the emulsions are there. One is the oil in water, and the second one is the water in the oil. Oil in water means oil is act as a dispersion phase and the water is act as a dispersion medium. Means the oil is added to the water. The oil is act as a dispersed phase and water is act as a dispersion medium. And the next one is the water in oil, means the water is added to the oil. In this case, oil is act as a dispersion medium and water is act as a dispersed phase. The oil in water emulsions are the non-greasy, as the water is as a dispersion medium and they can be easily removed from the skin. While on the other cases, when the oil is act as a dispersed medium, they are the greasy and the non-water washable. Vanishing creams are the examples of the oil in water and common examples of the oil in water emulsions. The next is the cold cream. In case of the cod liver oils are examples of the water in oil emulsions. They are preferred to use in the internal uses as the bitter taste of the oil can be masked, and they can be preferred only the externals like the creams at all. The next one is the how we will detect the these kind of the emulsions. The first is the dilution test. When the oil is act as a dispersion medium, they are insoluble in water and they can be diluted by the oil only, and the oil in water emulsions can be diluted with the water only. The next one is the conductivity. As we know that water is a good conductor of the electricity while oil is the non-conductor of the electricity. So in case of the oil in water emulsions, they are the good conductor of the electricity, while water in oil emulsions are the poor conductor of the electricity. The next one is the dye test. When we add a small amount of the oil soluble dye to the emulsion, in case only a small portion of the it get colored, it is an example of the oil in water emulsions. How if the entire background is colored, it is an example of the water in oil emulsions. Thank you. Have a nice day.